guys, welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm your host Maureen, and tonight we're joined with Amanda. Hello. And Jeanette.
Hello.
And Bethany.
Hi.
It's like a game. Every time Amanda says hello, it's never in the way I'm expecting her to say it, and it always catches me off guard. So I'm going to leave this in, listeners, for your absolute delight, because I think that you'll have the same reaction I did to that very rapid, very high-pitched hello.
I didn't know you were going to me first.
Tonight we are talking about The Resident, episode 4, right?
Yes.
I'm really confused with the Grey's Anatomy episodes this week, what episode we were on, and I was really confused. So this is episode 4 of season 5, and this is the one after the disaster one.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't as emotional. I was a little more annoyed with this episode.
Me too.
And I think we were supposed to be annoyed. I wasn't like annoyed that, oh, how dare you write like this. I think I was just
It was meant to be that way.
Of some of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe some of them. I enjoyed this episode.
I did too.
Probably the most, like, so far this season, I think. Because it was like just getting back to normal stuff. I liked it.
I agree.
For me, it felt a little bit more jarring, though. I think we needed just a little bit more transition out of the intensity of last week's episode. Time had passed for them, and obviously a week had passed for us, but I think I was expecting a little bit more of a transition than just jumping back into everyday life.
I can see that.
Because with Conrad, even, we were told, not shown. And that kind of bugged me when he was like, you've been every morning for the last 2 weeks, you've been doing this. Like, I wish I would have like seen almost, they do montages all the time. I almost wish we would have seen like some, even if he had to say it, they would show him returning there day after day after day after day. I think it would have had more of an impact than it did, because we weren't there with him in it. And not that, I'm not exactly a glutton for punishment. I don't really want Conrad to be pain after pain after pain after pain and have us experience it. But I think that part, because it started and ended in this episode, apparently. But he'd already been in the thick of it for 2 weeks. So what it seemed like to me as a viewer was, wow, he didn't really fight for that very long. It was just one day in this episode. It took place over the space of one day. And in that one day we saw him fight, and that one day we saw him give up. It didn't feel very Conrad.
I don't know. I'm glad. I was really hoping we wouldn't sit and dwell on this. I don't mean that to sound awful. We know she's not coming back. The actress decided to leave, so I just want to move on from it.
See, I want him to be right. I want to know what happened.
Well, I think we're finding out that nothing happened. It just,
I don't know. They zeroed in on that pretty quickly.
Well,
I don't know. I think
you never know.
I think that's the point, though.
Because it's either one or two things. It's either going to be a deer, or it's going to be some stupid medical thing that is not stupid medical thing, but like something like completely out of the blue.
Yeah.
Something like odd.
How would it be that? And him find that was the cause.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I can't believe I'm the only one. I'm glad, because sometimes accidents just happen. And I think that's what this is. And I think maybe like that is tough for Conrad, because he's the one that always finds the diagnosis and figures it out. But there's nothing to figure out here. It was just an accident.
Yeah. That can be almost poetic as well.
Yeah. I think I kind of like it. I don't know.
And honestly, that's fine if that's what it is, but I need them to make that clear.
Yeah.
And I don't think they made that clear. They showed a deer at the end, but if that's how they're going to say it, I'm going to be annoyed.
I think that kind of was what they were trying to say.
That's what I took it as.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was like literally the same deer, like knowing Fox, that it seems like, hey, that was, there's no proof. Unless it's tagged, like you'd never know, but like, it seems like a very Fox move to be like, hey, this so happened to be the same deer. He just came out the same way, and he's alive in that moment because of Nick's actions, and just walked right back into the bushes. And it was almost like he was like, hey, what's up? But almost kind of like, thank you. It was almost like, I'm standing here today alive because of your sacrifice. Thank you. But yeah, I think I'm wondering if they were trying to, and I don't know, you never know, they might actually loop back around, but at least right now in this moment, if it truly was the deer, I think it was super poetic if they do it that way. The fact that you're thinking there's going to be more, and Conrad is thinking there's more, and is only
because they set it up that way.
Right, exactly. And they set
I think
it up.
that's my problem.
I think so. And I didn't think of that till later, but maybe that was on purpose. They set it up to be that way. And then guess what? It was just a deer. Right. Like Jeanette just said, or like Devin was saying, like sometimes things just happen and there's no explanation for it. And it's unbearable. And if maybe that's what they were trying to say, because the audience is going to be like Conrad, they're not just going to accept, oh, it's a deer, we're going to want more. But yet we're now on this journey with Conrad, and now we have to just have that anticlimactic, accept the anticlimax. But I don't know. It you never know. It seems like they're trying to resolve it there, but you just never know with this show, with the network. It's they like to go extra. So.
Yeah, it's true. So maybe then my problem becomes that I don't like it that they're kicking him when he's down.
No.
I'm just determined to find a way to like have Conrad get right on something. I want him to be right on this.
Yeah,
I think so too. Wrong. I want him to have something concrete that he can tell Gigi. I want him to have that, because this is the other thing too, is that if he does not have a certain answer, Conrad's never going to let it go, no matter what it appears like. If he does not have a certainty, Conrad's never going to give it up. Right. He may say it is, he may go through it for a bit, but that something is going to trigger something later on down the line. He's going to be like, oh, that's maybe what happened. He's never going to let it go unless there's a concrete reason.
No.
So maybe their plan is to draw this out longer. I don't know. Maybe they are just going to change his personality a little bit here to let him give up. I don't know.
It could be like he was saying, like, I am only a doctor without her. There was never me and her. It was just us. It was we. And without her, the only way I know is to be a doctor. And I think obviously they've made that clear as to why he was so, running after a medical diagnosis versus just, oh, well, maybe it was a raccoon, or like, some other option. Like that was in his mind, that's the only way that he could operate. The only way that he could function was from the mindset of a doctor. And maybe that's part of it. Like now he doesn't know who he is. So maybe not necessarily changing his character, but he's in a season of he doesn't know who he is. Yeah. So that might be a change,
And maybe it'll be like some sort of like growth for him.
Right.
He'll realize that he can't always.
He is perfect he as
can't
he is.
He's pretty close. I agree. I totally agree.
Maybe that's what my entire problem is.
There's always
they're trying to change perfect Conrad Hawkins, and I don't like that.
There's always room
keep
for growth.
him the exact same for every single day he's on this show.
Like, don't ever change.
He's the one character. No, maybe not the one character. I think we all know the other character. I'm okay with there being no change in, but he is the one character on this show who needs zero change whatsoever.
Oh,
I may be the only person who thinks that, but just because I feel like if he changes, he's not going to be feisty Conrad. And I like that.
Well, but
the other thing too about that is I wish when it was really emotional, and I mean, seriously, we've talked about this before, but Matt Zuckery does grief really well.
Yeah.
And so you really, every single time he shows an emotion on screen, you're instantly empathetic towards him. Empathetic is not a word. I meant to say empathetic.
Empathetic. We got it.
You feel connected to him instantly. But when he was saying, I'm nothing without her, I wish Devin, it was Devin in the room when he said that, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I wish Devin would have said, you're Gigi's father.
Oh,
I wish he would have said that. And I know what he didn't, because I think Devin was a little afraid to say the wrong thing. And he didn't want to downgrade his grief by saying, well, no, you're still not this. You're this.
Right.
But I wish that would have been said, because I think in this episode, Devin, or really Manesh, really shined with how he displayed emotion. I think he did a fantastic job in this episode.
I agree.
Balancing the grief with even the levity he had with Leela. I think Manesh did a really, really excellent job displaying both of those in a really, really real way.
Somebody needed to have told him that he's Gigi's dad. And now, not having Nick in his life and being Gigi's dad, like you're saying, I don't think he's going to lose his fight. He's not going to lose his feistiness because he has Gigi to fight for. First, he was fighting as Conrad. Now he's fighting as Conrad, the dad, So I think that probably, intensifies his fight. It might be a little bit different than what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
But it's going to create a whole new person, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because like you said, he's Gigi's father. Like, what other, in this moment, I mean, that's his mission now. And I think he doesn't have, even above and beyond being a doctor, that's obviously going to be his greatest calling in life, so I think that's going to help define him as a character.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for what the season is going to bring for Devin and Conrad too, because even Marshall was a little, because I think Marshall still kind of understands that Conrad's going to revert back to a little bit more volatile now, because he's in this really grief-stricken place, and that's his. I mean, I understand. Maybe that's why I feel like he needs to go through this, because that's kind of what my go-to is when I'm feeling that kind of grief: is disconnect, get angry, and get focused instead of feeling grief. And I think
Marshall has been through this himself, so I think he really understands. Like,
yeah. I think that's a good point, that Marshall has gone through it, so he knows it. And I think that Marshall also recognizes that there's a little bit more Marshall and Conrad, but at the same time, their relationship is still new enough that, I mean, since they were reconciled, there hasn't been a big thing like this to happen to Conrad since they got reconciled. And I think that Marshall probably feels a little bit on shaky ground. So even when he went to Conrad and he didn't chastise him, but you could see on his face, you could see in the tone of his voice that he was just like, okay, my son's going crazy. When he went in there and he said, took a deep sigh and said, I'm going to take Gigi to the park. And then he walked out and he took Gigi out of there. And I think that that's a really stand-up thing for Marshall too, for having the foresight to take Gigi out of that situation. Granted, she's a baby, but still, he took her out of there and he removed her from the situation to bring her some levity, because she's not getting there. But I can't remember. Devin, geez, I couldn't remember his character's name for a minute. I just kept wanting to call him Manesh. But Devin, I love when he said to him, when my father died, you let me deal with it however I need to deal with that. And I'm gonna let you do that too.
Yeah.
But do you honestly think that's what this is? And that's that great balance that Banesh brought to his character this week. And yes, that's good writing, but the way he delivered his lines in that scene was so well done.
Yeah.
Because he has that line of supportive friend, of feeling grief with his friend. There's this thing in Romans where it says that we're supposed to rejoice with those who are rejoicing and mourn with those who are mourning. And he does that really well in this scene. And he really just kind of gets in there with him, but he's also understanding that even in your grief, you can't let the grief-stricken person get driven down a road that is going to lead them nowhere, because there's more pain there. And I love that Devin understood that intrinsically about Conrad, that you're reaching and you're going for something that's not there, and I'm going to let you do it, but you also need to be aware it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Absolutely.
I need more people to say wow after I say something. It's really beneficial for me.
It's the Romans. You drop the Romans in there.
Stroking her ego over here.
You were using higher words there.
Here she goes.
The other thing that I thought was I thought they could have done more. And again, we love this show. That's why we have a group and why we're discussing it. But I think that in that scene where Devin's talking about how he's picking up all Conrad's shifts, why couldn't they have taken a doctor who's on the show, like Dr. Nolan or Irving even, and had them take up a higher role in the hospital and take over some of Conrad's shifts? I know that Irving is ER doctor.
Yeah.
But he still knows what Conrad does. He works with Conrad in the ER. He could take some of those shifts while Devin picks up some of the internal medicine side. And there are other doctors at the hospital who can pick up the internal medicine side. I feel like they're missing an opportunity to elevate some of these side characters that we've all been desperate to see more of.
Yeah.
They could have done that in this episode. I wish they would have done that.
Yeah. Because what is Dr. Nolan? He's a surgeon though, isn't he?
I don't remember. I think he's a surgeon.
Yeah.
I think he's a surgeon.
I think so.
I did find it odd that one doctor is going to take all these shifts.
Yeah.
If that were the real world, I'd be like,
it's not plausible.
Let's spread.
That'd be illegal.
Yeah. I was going to say.
And I think that's one thing the
That's not a
Resident
good
does
thing.
well, is balance reality with fiction.
Yeah.
And that's not a realist. And that's probably part of the reason why I'm mad about the Nick thing too, is because it's realistic that it was just a deer, and I want Conrad to be Superman.
Yeah.
You just want it. You want to escape the real world. You want to go into something
I
that's
just want
larger
Conrad
than
to be
life.
Superman.
There you go. I just wanted to be
That's all I
Superman.
want.
He still can be. He still can be.
It is going to be weird, like if we see like a new love interest. It's going to
hope-
It's gonna be some time.
I
before
hope
that.
they don't go there with Billy. I'm gonna
Oh,
be so mad if
no.
they do.
Oh, I hope
You know
not.
what?
Not with
Here's the
Billy.
thing. I
No.
thought
I see
it was,
AJ with Billy.
yeah, I
Mhm.
thought it was going to be Billy and him at first because I was like, okay, well, that would make sense because she'd be there helping out with Gigi. But now that I've seen what they're doing with her and AJ, I think that's where
I
we're headed.
prefer that one. Yeah,
I like
I
it.
like
I
Conrad
do
better
want-
alone.
I don't. I won't. Are you crazy? No, I want to see him in that. I don't care. I'm going to see him in that on-call room with some other female. We're missing that. Amanda, you know you do too. See, I'm not alone here.
Sorry, I am.
I like Conrad in his. I
My
think
boy
he's a
needs
better
love.
fighter when he's on his own.
No.
I think they'll eventually bring a love interest in, but it's going to take some time, not only for the character of Conrad, but I think for the show, the structure of it, and then also the audience. We're going to need some time to process and move on as well.
And
I
I
think there's a lot of
realistically, he's been in love with Nick since before the show started.
I know.
yeah,
So they have to give that due process if they're going to make this any sort of realistic.
absolutely. Yeah, there's
Is
no way they
Handmaid's
can.
Tale still going on? Maybe Alexis could like join the show as some new doctor.
That'd be
Alexis Bledel.
great.
The
I'd
hand-
No.
love to see Alexa
I
Bledel
said, is
on the
Handmaid's Tale
show.
still going on? We could
That
bring
would be
Alexis
cool.
on.
It is. Don't
See,
take my
like
show off air,
that.
please.
She can do
I would
one
accept
more,
that.
more than one show.
Why is that making me emotional?
Oh,
Because we
I
want
would
to see Rory and
absolutely
Logan.
accept that. Oh
that
my
would be
gosh, please.
awesome.
Alexis
Let's
Bledel, I
start-
know you're really into our podcast. Can you please petition the writers to be on the show, please? But specifically for Conrad Hawkins' love interest, you can't be in another role. We don't want you. if
Right,
you're not gonna be that.
absolutely.
No,
Yeah,
it has
just-
to be his love interest. Yeah.
Oh my
Do a
gosh, I would
crossover
cry.
and it's like actually Rory Gilmore. She's like, well, guys, I moved to Atlanta.
She sits down with a 14-year-old and says, by the way, Conrad / Logan,
Great.
this is your son.
Oh gosh.
Love it.
No way.
Oh, that would be so
Merging the
awesome
fandoms.
if they did that. Maybe
Pull
that's why
another
Mitchum was on this
Devin.
episode.
Do what?
Maybe that's why Mitchum was on this episode. Maybe they're just gonna
I
start bringing
would-
more and more
Oh my
Gilmore
God.
characters back until it's
I
Rory
would
at the end.
love that. I think every Gilmore actor needs to make at least some sort of cameo on this because, like, the resident fandom just gets so excited every time you see a Gilmore face.
Yep.
I mean, we were sitting there like, Huntsberger, like what?
How many people started watching The Residents because Matt Zuckery was the lead?
I mean,
that's me.
all of us.
Me too.
I didn't know what it was, and I was like, "Oh, that's Logan. I'm gonna watch that show." So I mean,
Yep.
they have to.
Yeah,
You have to speak to your audience. Read the room, Fox. Read the room.
absolutely.
True story.
We like
But
it.
in terms of the realism of the show, that scene where Devin was saying, eventually I won't have to take a shifts anymore, and Leela was there. I think it was fun to see them kind of build that relationship, but I'm confused because it didn't sound like they were living together, and we ended episode 2 with that decision made.
Yeah.
And this is like 3 weeks in the future from that.
Mhm.
Well, maybe they've got a lease that they've got to like finish out or something. You never know. I mean,
Yeah, because it seemed like they weren't, and it didn't seem like just because he was working. It seemed like they were missing each other a lot,
yeah.
except
Yeah.
for when they're at the hospital.
I think they're both working a lot.
Yeah. And then with the, Nick being gone and not only work wise, but, emotionally,
Mhm.
everybody, I'm sure, I mean, unless they're using it as a means of coping, you're not going to sit there after the funeral and be like, okay, let's go pack. Like, let's go move, let's go house hunting. They probably a little bit distracted too.
Yeah, because they talked about how they both loved their place and they would have to get a place together or something. So maybe they just haven't had time to do that yet.
That's true.
Maybe.
I think this is a good time to break into the Leela situation
Mhm.
with
Absolutely.
Mitchum Huntsberger.
I love
Mhm.
her.
With Mi-
What is his
and he's
name on this show?
Mitchum Huntsberger. That's his
No.
name on the show. I can't remember. We
hold
just
on.
like,
AK is all I remember,
Because I did.
which is also a character in Gilmore Girls, by the way.
I
What-
did
what was it?
something.
AK,
Oh.
he works at the
What
paper
was
with
it?
Rory.
Ah.
They're just dropping hints all over this episode.
Oh,
Dr.
Rory's coming back,
Cranepool.
people.
Is it?
Dr. Cranepool.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is, yeah.
Dr. Cranepool. I honestly could not remember his name because we were just calling him Huntsberger the whole episode.
They told, I swear they missed an opportunity. Like Conrad
Yes.
just needed like one
Yes.
scene with him.
Mhm.
Yes.
The first thing I thought of was like, oh, this is going to be so cool when we see him on screen with Conrad. How fun. And it never came,
I know.
And there's never
They-
gonna be another opportunity because he retired.
Exactly.
So Conrad can't even call him out like he did Belle.
Exactly.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I
could you
think-
imagine like Conrad getting mad at him?
Yes.
Wow.
We've seen Conrad get mad at him before.
I know.
They got to figure out some way. I think they got to figure out some way to bring him back because he's still really good friends with Belle. I mean, he seems like he's sort of accepted Belle's advice. Obviously, he retired, but I mean, just because he's retired doesn't mean there's no reason for him to ever have screen
Maybe
time
they'll
again.
need to consult with him on some like crazy something. All that pops in my head when we're talking, you guys will understand, when we're talking about Conrad getting mad at him. Like I'm replaying the scene when he's like, "You're my girlfriend, Rory. He should have treated you better." And then
Yes.
what's running through my head.
Maybe he has some connection to Nick, and Conrad's gonna be like, dude. Right? I mean, I feel like Conrad would be way more passionate and empathetic, but there's a reason I don't write for this show. I don't know exactly what he said. I just know it'd be beautiful and eloquent and with his teeth almost fully together and in the dark, scary whisper. Is all I know. That's my favorite Conrad voice.
Dark, scary, sexy whisper. I'll go ahead and throw that in there. It's my favorite too.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear that my love of Conrad stems largely from his fight and from the personality that they created in him.
And his face.
And Logan. It's the same reason I like Logan. For me, though, that's what it is. It's, I'm going to cut this part out, but I don't want Matt Zuckery to be weirded out to be on the show. So I'm trying to make it it's not about his face.
No, this is anything I listen to the show, I feel like, isn't this my character on our show here? Like
that's true. You're the thirsty one.
Exactly. I own it.
But I do think that we have missed that part of him. And I think that with Nick's death, we're going to see that come back because maybe that's how the non-event that happened, maybe that's how the fight's going to come back because he's just going to be mad that it was a stupid non-event. He's going to fight harder for everything else, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with Mitchum, and I already forgot his name on the show again.
Dr. Cranepool.
Dr. Mitchum.
That
Dr. Hunsberger.
When they were in the operating room, first of all, you see him, the very first scene we see in the show is him and Belle playing. And
he was a jerk.
And I immediately pictured Rory and Lorelai trying to play that midnight. We're like in the face. Did you see that? That was the first thing I saw. So then when Belle got hit in the face, it was even more like it had that intensified.
That looked like it hurt.
It did look like it hurt.
But like even from that first scene when he said, "Have you gotten Kit into bed yet?" I'm like, what a disgusting thing to say about your boss. I mean, like, that's gross.
That was very gross.
I mean, I understand they're old friends, and I mean, it's just, I mean, I know people talk with their friends or whatever, but
it's just crass.
She's his boss,
like the boys club kind of language.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know.
I mean, I think they wanted you to have that reaction of him though, so I mean,
because it was going to be a short-lived stint. They needed to make you really not like him at first. Yeah. The same way we really didn't like, because that's, I mean, if you look back to Belle, the very first scene, one of the very first scenes we see in The Resident was Belle killing a patient on the table.
True.
Right.
So we were instantly disliked him, and they're drawing that parallel, and they did several times in this episode that he is in the same position Belle was.
Yeah.
But I love that when he's in the OR with Leela, and Leela stood her ground. She's like, I have to do this. I have to back up. And she didn't end up doing it because he was fighting. And I think she kind of, what I love about Leela's character is that what is her handicap? I don't remember.
She's dyslexic.
Okay. So she, because of the way her mind works and like with the drawing and stuff, she is able to quickly think, but you can see her gear. And that's a testament to that actress, because the look on her face looked like she was running through every option in her head and running the pros versus cons of listening to him or not listening to him. That's a testament to the actress, because that's a nonverbal thing that's not scripted.
Yeah.
And I like that they played that out. I like that they honed in on her face. Even with the mask on, you could see that she was doing that. And her pausing and the way she was clamped over the body, the way she was trying to go back. Even there's Jessica in there.
Yeah.
Which I was happy to see back again.
Me too.
Yay.
I like that we saw that part of Leela, and that right there instilled, I don't think she's going to be the new Nick, because obviously she's a surgeon, not a nurse practitioner, but she has the same spirit that Nick did.
Yeah.
That fighting spirit. And I like that they used this episode to bring that on her.
I like her a lot. She's like quickly becoming one of my favorite characters on the show.
Yeah, I was when they were in the operating room, I was noticing that, and it was great to like see, try to like stand up for the patient. But I don't know if you guys noticed, because he said go to the right, she went to the left, and I think that's because I I think that's because she obviously was dyslexic. And so I was noticing
Oh
that,
yeah.
so, and I think what it is that she's used to having to compensate for that, because she knows that, hey, this is something that she, especially in the setting of a medical setting, you know, where you have to be so precise because, you know, it could be a matter of life and death. So I think she's like she says, she's trained her brain. She's learned how to compensate for something like that to achieve, you know, safe, accurate results.
Mhm.
But at the same time too, it was kind of weird because it's totally different scale, because, you know, this doctor was definitely, you know, he was causing a lot of harm, but of course, you know, with his issues were a lot like more intense. You know, he almost caused a lot of harm in that one moment. But I guess it's almost like hers is kind of scaled back because she does have dyslexia as well, and that could almost prove to be a danger as well to the patients, you know, equal to his having peripheral vision and his aging and everything. And of course, nobody really knows that she's dyslexic other than Devin, but she hasn't let that stop or hinder.
More people know.
But more people know.
Yeah, because when she said that, when she was drawing and he harangued her for it,
that's
she
right.
was in front of the nurse's station when she said it.
You know, that's right. I forgot that. That's why
I
she
know.
said. There you go. Yeah. So they know that she's dyslexic, I guess, because she's able to compensate and cope for it. But, you know, it's kind of like, here's a surgeon with an issue that could possibly cause harm to the patient. But I guess because his was more severe, you had to be acted on, where hers is she's kind of coping with it.
Yeah.
And it's not causing harm. But
the other thing too, I'm going to keep bringing it back to season 1 because I like that they kept drawing that parallel between Belle and AK.
Absolutely.
That with Belle, it was well known he was killing patients. Like he was, patients were dying on his operating table. It was a thing. It was a regular thing that they had tried to keep patients out of his OR because he was killing them. And they tried to stop him, but he was still doing it. With AK, Leela was not waiting for him to kill patients. Like, no, we're not going to let it. Even when she talked to Devin, he's like, well, he hasn't done anything wrong. Make sure there's no paper trail. Make sure there's this. And Leela's like, no, he's going to, though. We can't let it get to that point. And I like that is her fight. Is that, no, we're not going to let it get to the point where he kills a patient. We're not going to let him get to a point where he screws up so bad we lose somebody. We're going to do it now when he's already showing signs of wear and he needs to be pulled out because he's going to hurt somebody. I like that they instilled that in her. They're making her a really excellent character. That I'm going to tie in that statement to something AJ says later on in the episode, but I want to stick with Leela and AK for a minute here.
And did you notice Devin's reaction to you when she said that? Because remember with the pilot, and he didn't report the pilot right away, and then the plane crashed, and he thought that it was the same pilot. He was going through that whole guilt spiral, thinking that he was responsible, and and so he, like, a light bulb went off, and he's like, I understand exactly what you're saying, because suddenly it was like, I've walked all of that road, and now you're exactly about to walk the same path. And suddenly, like, he could relate to it really well. And I think that was also, you know, I mean, now that's like a part of their relationship now. I mean, he's already walked through that, and now he knew what she was trying to say. You know, before he was like, he was thinking of her. He was trying to protect her because, you know, he'd rather have her be safe. But yet, when she said that, suddenly he got a new perspective. He got a better understanding of where she stood, and now he's like, now I can support you, now I can help you, but let me help you walk that path without putting yourself in harm's way, if you will. You know,
I thought you were gonna say Jeanette, so I was waiting.
No, why?
Oh, okay. I don't know, you just look like you were ready to say something.
Oh no.
Was it that Leela said something, or was it just the way she looked at him that where he went, I'm sorry, I'm just really tired? Because I thought it was a look she gave him that kind of convicted him.
In the same conversation.
When he's like, you know, don't leave a paper trail, all that stuff that he was saying to her, and I thought she just kind of looked at him, and he went, I'm sorry, I'm tired. And I thought it was a look, because it was going to bring them up, that I like that they have instilled that, though we haven't watched it grow really. We went from end of season 4 where they were, I think they kissed, they were in his apartment at the end of season 4, weren't they?
Yep.
To the beginning of season 5 when they're in the elevator. So we don't see the growth of their relationship, but I like that the nonverbal cues are being read and understood immediately by him.
Yeah.
So, but maybe she did say something verbally. I didn't think she did. I thought it was
I
just a
don't
look.
think she does.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I didn't think she did either. But
And I think that brings us into her and Kit too, which is another way where she doesn't say anything, but they
Mhm.
understood.
Right.
I loved that scene.
I did not.
Why?
I really wanted potato chips after watching that.
It was
Why
weird.
would you? I thought it was so funny. I loved it.
I don't think Kit would have got it that quick.
Oh, you think it was a little too
easy of a
scripted?
conversation because I mean, who knows that taking a bite of a chip is a yes, but if it's no,
Well, she was
it was-
nodding
it
as
was-
she
yeah,
was
she was
yeah,
biting.
but
biting
the
and
first time
nodding.
she didn't. The first time
she
she
did
didn't, and the
something with her
last couple ones
eyes.
she didn't.
Yeah, she was like shifting her
There was
eyes.
an eye thing that I could tell she was saying yeah, but I mean I knew.
Yeah, but we
I
knew the
mean,
situation though.
But I
Yeah.
could see it in her eyes. I mean, like I don't know.
You knew
I think they were
something
trying to
was
show how
up.
perceptive Kit was,
Yeah.
and I think they were trying to show that Leela, that was my kid's baby's name, that Leela was trying to fight for something and trying to report him. I get that's what they're trying to do. I don't know. The whole scene just felt weird to me.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
I
my
think-
favorite scene of the episode.
I thought it was. I found it humorous because
Mhm.
it told me that like this is something normally people do with Kit. Is they just walk up to her and give her like nonverbal
Yeah.
clues of what's going on.
Hmm.
I don't know.
feel
To
it.
me,
I didn't
it
get that.
made me laugh.
I think I am the only one in the group though who did not comment in our group chat about how much I like that scene. I think everyone else in our group was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
It just
I
felt
think
weird to me.
it was kind of humorous. Yeah,
Felt
it
too
was a little bit.
kitschy.
You think? I just was looking at the potato
like that.
chips. I was like, now I know what my snack is gonna be.
I mean, every once in a while, I think it's fun to break up the drama with some cute, like weird scenes like that. I mean, I
We
wouldn't
have
want it
Irving
to
and
all
Dr.
be
Nolan.
like that. Do what?
That's why we have Irving and Dr. Nolan.
But they weren't in
The
this
comedic
episode.
relief.
I know.
I
So
know I didn't see him.
They
once.
left it to Leela and Kit. That was what it was.
It fell flat for me.
Oh.
I mean, I like that she confessed to Kit, sort of.
Mhm.
But the other thing too is that Kit later was like, I thought it was clever when they pulled it back and she said, I cannot possibly tell you word for word what this person said to me. I thought that was clever. I like that.
That was funny. That was really funny. Yeah.
Because I thought that was pretty brilliant without saying something. She said something because I mean, really, she can't say, someone didn't tell me anything, but they gave me hints with the potato chips. You can't say that with the same person. So I did like that tie-in. I just think it was too jokey, is what I felt like when they were in the scene. But that, I mean, obviously, I am the only person on our team who has that preference. So
clearly you're wrong.
that's not possible.
Just
I'm the
saying.
female equivalent of Conrad without all the medical stuff.
Just saying. Well, he was wrong this episode too. So
He's not. If he doesn't get proven right by the end of the season, I'm gonna be upset.
I think
For
we're
no other reason other than that, I believe something for an entire season that was not right.
Aw.
we've done that before.
Bethany,
Full
it's like,
summer.
oh, I would feel so bad for you. Don't feel bad for my arrogance.
Not me.
That's,
He needs to be
that's
knocked
how
down a
pride
couple
comes
pegs.
before the fall.
A lot of people are saying wow after I talk lately. I can't help it that my head got big.
Well, again, pride comes before the
Bethany's
fall. So, hey, what did I say? No, I'm kidding.
You said,
Well, it was
wow.
last week too when
I
I
did
brought the
know.
parallel between. See, I remember when you did it last week.
I didn't even notice I said wow. I was laughing and I ended it with a wow and I didn't even notice.
Well,
I
last
said,
week it
wow.
was when I compared that I showed how Hodad was redeemed. And no one got that reference except for me because I'm brilliant. Anyway, I'm cutting all this out. Just
Okay.
so none of our listeners know how arrogant I am. But I think that I did like that she found a creative way to tell Kit. I will say I liked that because
Yeah.
she couldn't just go right out. So she was taking Devin's advice. I kind of wish she was an outright whistleblower. Which I mean she sort of was, but I don't know. I just for me it just felt too jokey, that scene. I wish for a serious thing like that, I wish it wouldn't have been so jokey. But I do like that they tied it in later in a really subtle, funny, like that kind of funny. I thought was funny when Kit brought that line up. And I like that Belle was trying to say the same thing that like Lane Hunter would say about Belle when they were bringing it to Lane
Mhm.
Hunter. And he's like, no, he's fine. He trained me, he's fine. But you really truly see how far Belle, and someone in our chat had said, Kit's rubbing off on him. I don't think it's all Kit rubbing off on him. I think that Belle has truly been redeemed. And I think Belle truly understands how important every single patient's life is. So when he was in that viewing room, I love that he didn't even let like a moment pass when he saw the trouble and jumped right in. That shows a truly redeemed character. And it's one of the reasons why Belle is one of my favorite characters on the show right now.
Yeah.
I really, really like Belle.
It was really cool because to see them, knowing they were friends for so long, and then to see how like Belle walked the path of redemption. And I'm going to call him Huntsberger. Huntsberger didn't.
AK.
Huntsberger followed the path of Huntsberger. But I thought that was pretty cool. It was almost like it was a what if, like what Belle could have been if he didn't have that intervention of, being having the storyline that ended up played out.
I mean, Belle did have the same sort of confrontation that AK had from him. Belle just didn't listen to anybody.
Right.
But Conrad constantly brought it in his face.
Oh yeah. But Belle,
but you
Belle
see
changed.
In the squash court, he did, because he truly was redeemed. But you see in the squash court the second time they play, where I love that Belle's like, I've been letting you win for like the last year.
Yeah.
Just whoops him. But what AK says when he's on the floor is, I have no hobbies. I have families. What am I supposed to do? And you know that the sole reason he knows he's defunct, he knows that he has this peripheral thing. And I like that Belle immediately called out and said, this is what your problem is.
Yeah.
But that the whole reason he was fighting retiring is because he didn't want to be as I guess useless as he thought he was becoming. And that was the whole reason. And I love that Belle was like, people are more important than you feeling like crap about yourself.
Right.
And when he said, did anyone bring that up in your face? And Belle was like, you should have. I love that. I love that he came out and said that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. It's almost like what Belle became of what Belle could have been.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been as arrogant. He could have been as bad, but he realized he had that redemption story, and he realized that, this is what should have taken place back then. There were things, people died that shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it was like seeing the two paths that they took, and it was like, it was cool to see that, but it also helped you appreciate Belle's redemption as well, and to know that, hey, now we have this really awesome character that didn't have to turn into a villain.
Yeah. And I do love that they use that squash tournament and not tournament game to further solidify Kit and Belle. But did anyone else think that she had a weird look on her face when he suggested the dinner? And she was like,
I was trying to figure out what that meant, because she kind of rubbed his back, and then she was like, what? Like, she got this weird look, and then like, sure.
I thought they were going to kiss. I mean, like, I feel like there's so many moments, and then I'm getting annoyed with them, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I enjoy a slow burn, but
get annoyed with Kit because
slow.
Belle clearly is there.
I said that
for
a
Kit.
while ago. They need to
let's just do it. I mean, like,
and it was almost,
but I mean,
okay, AK.
Nobody's getting any younger here.
It's true.
well, and I think what it was too is that every time they try to have a dinner, something bad happened, something interfered. So maybe it was almost like, whoa, like third time's a charm. Maybe we don't want to
die this time.
Exactly.
This is why I just think we should just kiss, just go for it. Like, quit
Just
trying to plan this date and like just go for it. I don't know. Because something happens every time you guys keep making plans.
Oh, so it's the plan making is the problem, not the actual idea of okay,
moment.
gotcha.
Yes.
And I think Belle wants to. I mean, Belle's ready to be there.
Yeah.
But what is Kit's is her hesitation that she's technically his superior? Like, what is her hesitation there, do you think?
I don't know.
I think there's going to be a further storyline with that, because that look and the way the music changed and everything was absolutely, there's more to it than just her like, should we go on a date? There was something to it. So I don't know where they're going to go with that, but I think that was like a plot point, or like at least a springboard, and I'm sure they'll probably dive into it different in future episodes, kind of elaborate on what she was thinking and why she made that face and what it means.
Yeah.
I agree.
Sorry, I'm responding to someone.
Who are you responding to?
It's in our chat. Sorry. Okay, then. I agree with that though. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see why and where. Because do we know what happened with Kit and her husbands? I feel like she had more than one. that accurate?
No,
I think
said
they-
one.
They ended up I think they just found that they just weren't meant to be together, because I know they had the divorce. Then after the issue with her son-in-law, they, reestablished their relationship. I think they were going to give it another try. And then that's when she came back and said, no, it's just not going to work. We're just going to
Okay.
we're going
So
to
there's no
remain
trauma
friends.
there?
I don't think so. I think
so.
there was, but I think they reconciled, after,
Okay.
everything that happened with her son-in-law and the daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that brought them closer together, but they were able to like peacefully go their separate ways, have that reconciliation, but they're still not,
Yeah.
they're just going to remain friends. And obviously, the grandparents of their granddaughter, but not actually continue to.
And Belle and Kit in my mind for so long, I forgot her original story. It's been like 4 seasons of this.
That's what I'm saying.
Their whole
wish
time
You
together
guys
has been
could
one
see
long
Jeanette's
date.
face when she says this stuff.
I'm so irritated about it.
So
Like
I
Lydia
love
and
we love the
Styles all
growth in
over
him.
again.
You have to what?
I said it's like Lydia and Styles all over
Oh,
again. It, like,
I thought you
never
said they're gonna make us start all over again. They better not.
No.
You cannot go backwards with them. If we go backwards with them, I'm all done with them.
Yep, that's it. We're done.
I'm all for the slow burn, but don't you dare take it backwards. You
No.
gotta keep going forward.
No.
Speaking of, I think another thing that softened him that people often overlook is Grandpa Bell.
Yes.
What's his first name?
I know.
Robert? What is his first name?
Randolph.
Randolph.
Randolph, yeah.
Grandpa Randy? What
Jake this season at all either. though.
Aw.
I know we haven't seen Jake yet at all.
I know. I think it's gotta be coming though.
Oh,
It's gotta be.
Because they wouldn't have pointlessly connected us to this character and got us attached to this character
Yeah.
just to rip him away.
No.
Unless the actor said I don't want to be in there. But then again, like Nick and Mina, we have to have a closure that you've got us connected to this character. You've got to reintroduce them at some point.
well, we can't hire another plastic surgeon on top of everything else we've been doing. Like, no, we need him.
What do you think his grandpa name would be?
Aw. Papa Bell.
Pops.
Pops.
I think like
Taco Bell.
like
No, I'm kidding.
grandfather.
Grandfather.
I don't think Jake would be that formal.
Well, they're in the South, so Grandpa is popular down here. Usually
true.
that's
I don't know
like.
anything about Georgia's culture.
Well, I don't know anything about Georgia culture either, but I'm trying to think. You hear
We're a little
Grandpa more
hickish
in
up
the
here.
South.
I don't know. I mean, I'm the closest to Georgia.
You're the
And
closest.
I had a papaw. So
You had a
I
Papa.
can see Papa.
Papa, mama.
and David's dad is Papa. I had a mama. Yeah, mama and Papa.
I think it's going to be like Papa or Papa.
I
like,
think
but
it's Papa.
Not
or-
Grandpa Randy.
maybe she might even come up with her own nickname for him too.
I think
She
Papa,
seems
though.
like
Oh,
Papa. I think it'd be Papa, but maybe.
we should do that in the group.
Yeah, hey, there you go.
There
What do
you go,
Grandpa
What do you
Bell's
think
name should be.
Grandpa Bell.
I'll take parallel credit for that.
We won't
I
just
asked the
it was
question. Thank you very
Amanda.
much.
I just call him Taco Bell.
I don't think they would call him that.
No.
Nope.
I don't think so.
We don't even know what what do they call him? Do we know?
That's right. I don't know. I think Conrad referred to him as Grandpa. I think.
No idea.
Oh, born grandpa. Oh,
Graham.
I used to call my grandmother Graham.
They
I
call
never
him Gramps
called her
or
grandma or
something.
Graham.
Yeah,
I feel like Conrad would be more of a Gramps kind of guy.
Gramps,
eventually.
yeah.
Gramps, yeah.
Speaking of, it made me sad when our prediction came true of him saying to Billy, "Can you call Kyle? He's not speaking to me right now."
I
You know, that bothered me. I was not mad at Kyle last week because I thought that's an in the heat of the moment kind of reaction,
Yeah.
whatever. But if he's still not speaking to him,
But I
That
think
bugs me.
everything associated with Conrad is associated with pain now. I don't think it's not
Right.
because he's mad. I think
but
it's
his
speaking.
granddaughter. I mean,
But we don't know that he's not connected to Gigi
but
because
she's like
Billy is there every day taking pictures and talking to
I
Kyle,
guess.
and
Yeah.
I think it's just Conrad is everything what Conrad is associated with her death now, and I think it's like intense grief, especially since he already lost his other daughter in that same hospital, and I think it's just a grief thing.
Well, Conrad needs everybody he can get.
I know.
yeah,
I do
I think-
love Marshall and him though.
I do too.
It's really cool. it's great to see that, I'm glad they're reconciled because they can lean on each other because they've both been through the same thing and no one else is going to know
That's what I'm waiting for.
feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is Marshall to sit down with him and say, listen, when I lost your mom, I'm waiting for that conversation to happen. And maybe Marshall's just biding his time until he feels comrades out of this spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't wait for that conversation.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Oh no, Amanda left, and I was going to switch up characters here. Speaking of parent relationships, Trevor and Billy and AJ. Thoughts on that?
Ouch.
I have some, but thoughts on that?
I think I understand Billy is going through a lot of pain, I know, but she could have been way nicer to AJ. I did not like her attitude or the way she treated him. And then when it sounded like she was almost going to apologize when she explained to him why she was so resentful and felt so much pain and animosity, and yet she went right back into, but stay in your lane. And I'm like, that's not right. Like, I thought that she was going to reconcile the way she was treating him, but she was like going right back into it and justifying it. And I did not like that at all. It was not good.
And I get where she's coming from.
Right.
I do. But at the same time, like, I mean, I try to think about it as, here's my life story. Like, I've never met my dad, and he didn't want anything to do with me, even though he knows I existed. So in my head, I'm thinking, I feel like it would feel worse with the idea that your mother just doesn't want you, rather than to know the backstory and to know that your father was a terrible guy. I mean, like, just because right now he's thinking, she just doesn't want me. She never wanted me. And that's a really terrible feeling. And I feel really bad for him.
I do too. I wish she would be a little bit more open with him.
Because he's
honestly,
an adult.
I think it's like apples and oranges right here, though.
If he was a child, I could understand not wanting to put this on him. But he's an adult.
Right.
I mean, I think she needs to tell him what the situation actually is.
If anything, it could bring them together.
He's wanting to know. He's asking these questions.
Or at least
you ever really asked an interesting question, though. She says, do you really ever want to know that's the answer to your question? That when I was 13, your adult father raped me and you are the result of that? I mean, even look how broken Trevor is.
Yeah.
He's reaching out to AJ. He's crying over this woman he's met twice. Thinking she doesn't want him. Think of how much more horrible he would feel knowing that, okay, I physically cannot be around you because all I bring you is pain and torment. So not only because that thought that she doesn't want him is never going to leave. No matter what she says, that thought's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It might bring him
I honestly,
closure.
I don't think any is. I don't think either option is worse than the other. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think they're both really terrible options.
Yeah.
And he is an adult, so he probably, I mean, like you were saying, it's not like you're trying to protect a child.
Right.
I mean, it might just give him some closure or some understanding. He doesn't have, it's not like he sees her every day anyway, so then maybe they can move on from it. And think about it, they were both hurt by the same man, so just because he's not his father, he was equally hurt by this man's actions, and neither of them had a choice in their situation. And I'm not saying it's going to bring them together and they're going to have the perfect relationship, but it could be a process, maybe a means to closure, a means to just coping and moving on,
Yeah. Which I do think we're going to get there. I mean, obviously he's keeping his relationship with AJ. I think it's going to get there eventually, but
yeah, because you can't create that storyline for Billy and then not give her a form of resolution. You knew that as soon as that started, it was going to end in some form of resolution. There was going to be some end. There's going to be an ending to the beginning of the story. So
I think so.
It might take time, but it's going to get there.
Yeah.
I think that with Billy, I think that just in my experience with the sexual assaults that I had, I think that to be around a constant reminder of that, even with therapy, would be incredibly painful, even with therapy. And I don't think I could be around that until I was fully healed and dealt with that. And clearly Billy has not been able to do that with anybody ever. No. So I think the only way to get resolution is not to confess to this kid all the sins of his father, but to go to a therapist.
Yeah.
And she needs to talk someone professionally through this I don't know how I'm going to, because this kid is clearly trying to stay in her world. He may not see her every day, but he could have called anybody else. He called AJ, who is in her world. And he had a good talk with him, but even he says when they first meet up, I don't want one of those talks that you give, those inspirational talks, whatever. He's connecting to AJ because yes, AJ went through the same thing he did, but he's also in Billy's world. And that is the other draw to AJ is he's in her world. If she won't talk to me, he can, kind of thing.
Right.
And so I think that Billy understands that. And I think that there's some level that Billy just sees that he's popping up everywhere I am now. I can't do this. On top of the grief I have already, I cannot deal with the actual traumatizing, life destroying, horrific thing that happened when I was 13 and I didn't know what to do with anything. I was too young to know what anything meant, how to do anything. All I knew was the pain and the violation and the complete breakdown of everything I had. And Trevor he's coming from a place that has been defined by brokenness and, as AJ says, abandonment. But brokenness is the leading thing. I love when AJ points out to him, because he says, I don't agree with you about that. And AJ says, look at the people you surround yourself with. Have you ever felt this way? Have you ever felt this way? If your answer is yes to any of those. And I love how AJ approached it. I do agree with Billy, though. AJ needs to stay in his lane a little bit more, because I think AJ, whether it's subconsciously or not, I think he's trying to make an inroad for Trevor and Billy. It's not his place to do that.
Right.
I think it's going to be beneficial in the end, but still right now I would react as Billy did. It's not your place to do that. You don't get to talk to me about him. You don't know my story. And when she confessed that pain to him, and I felt that pain when I confessed to someone the abuse that I went through, the sexual abuse I went through, and I had said that to them, and I would react the same way there too. She's like, don't you dare say you're sorry. I would have the same reaction, because that's not why you're confessing it. And it's almost like she was forced to confess this very, very private, very deep rooted pain. She was forced to confess it against her will, almost, to get him to understand, this is why I can't do this. I shouldn't have to tell you why I can't do this. You should have just accepted I can't do this because I told you I couldn't. But then she was almost forced to tell him her story. So I would have reacted the same way she did. I don't, again, like last week or the week before, I didn't like how Trevor and Billy were reacting, but I understood it. And it's the same thing here. I don't enjoy seeing her treat AJ like that, but I understand exactly why she did it.
Yeah.
And I probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah. And I think he understands now. I mean, I think
absolutely.
So,
but she had to share something she wasn't ready or willing to share in order for him to understand it. And that's my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish that because AJ is so smart. He's so intuitive that he usually gets these things. And I think that I think for him though, he just kind of, because he even said to Trevor, young love, right? And he thought she was, because she told Trevor he was only a few years older. So it looked like 13, 16, young love, first love, whatever.
Right.
And so I think AJ thought, I'm going to fix this because it's fixable.
Yeah.
And so
he didn't know. Yeah. And I think the only thing he saw in that situation was himself, impressing himself on Trevor, and not knowing the backstory. He didn't realize what he should or shouldn't do. You know, all he saw was, if I were Trevor, when I was Trevor, this is what I would have wanted somebody to do for me. And not realizing that Trevor's story was different from AJ's story.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't know that.
Where I think the problem is that he is trying to create the inroad between Billy and Trevor. That's where his problem is. If he wants to mentor Trevor, that would be more beneficial than trying to connect Trevor and Billy. He needs to stop that. He needs to walk away from that. He needs to stop concerning himself with Trevor and Billy. He has things that can benefit this kid because of who he is and where he came from. That's where his focus needs to be, in the mentor-mentee relationship. He needs to stop with the mother-son thing. But what he says to him when Trevor's like, so you're just going to let that guy go out and abuse, I think he used the word brothers. Didn't he say that?
Yeah.
And do the same thing to our brothers. And AJ said, there is no sinner saint in my OR. There is, everyone is treated the same. And he said, why? And this is one of my favorite lines from the show. And I took a note of it, where he said, in an unrighteous world, or in a, oh my gosh, how did he say
unredeemable.
In an unredeemable world, I am a righteous man. Like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that so much. And that is exactly how I view AJ, is that because he may appear brusque and he may appear short and quick tempered, but that is really what he does.
Yeah.
He saves lives because he sees that life is important and precious, and he does things because it's the right thing to do, not because it's what he feels like it. And I did think that with the cop, obviously Trevor was confrontational, but the cop probably shouldn't have pulled his gun because the kid was talking to him.
Yeah.
That was a big mistake. I don't think that's what you're supposed to do. But when Trevor tried to convince him, just let him die. Or no, it was Devin. Was it Devin who said, are you in the right headspace to do this?
Yeah.
And he's like, I already saved his life. Why would I not save his life now?
Yeah.
What is the difference between then and now? I kind of wish for a snappier comeback from AJ though. I know he's got it in him. I wish he would have said something like, hey buddy, that wasn't very snappy. But AJ's smarter than I am. He could have come up with something funny.
Yeah.
What else is there left to talk about in this episode?
Trying to think.
I think that's basically it.
I saved the best for last. The other thing we didn't talk about was he took Gigi to get some testing
Right.
to see if she had the gene, and the look on Devin's face was kind of like, oh man, that's too far. But he didn't say anything.
No,
But he
didn't.
stood there in that hallway and he waited for him to come out
Yep.
with her. He
Yeah.
waited for him so he could confront him in the most loving, kind way.
He knew
Right.
this is something he needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. I mean, he needed to know. He needed that proof.
Yeah.
And
He
if
needed
that's
that
how he needs
closure.
to cope, then
Yeah.
run a test on the baby. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
You know,
You
that
could put it
way-
to How cute
rest.
was that baby in that episode though?
Yeah.
And she went on a
He's-
little wristband and she was making all those cute little
Showing
sounds.
on it.
My ovaries were tingling like the whole episode.
She's cute.
It is
The
cute.
waving, and she almost said like Dada. I know. I think her parents are probably like, obviously they're nearby, and you can see her reacting to someone that she's staring at someone off camera. And it's so adorable to see that,
Mhm.
because it's probably like, you know, her real dad or real mom, because she's like, Dada, you know,
Yeah.
Mama. It's just going to be a little hard. Well, I guess whenever she says Mama, it's just going to be a little more emotional, I guess, on the on camera, but she's probably reacting to like her
Yeah.
real mama. But she's just so adorable to see that, you
So
know.
cute.
Really.
much cuter than Robot Baby.
Yes.
Much
cuter.
much cuter than Robot Baby. Thank you.
Much more or much less scary than Robot Baby.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And I love the scene where he's packing up the room where he's got all the evidence or whatever. I think it was unscripted when she pointed to something and she said something and Matt Zuckery reacted to it. And I think that was unscripted. And I love that scene because it seems so
Love that.
spontaneous and you could kind of tell that he wasn't thrown off, but he, in the moment he looked, he was like, oh yeah. And he reacted to it. And I love that scene.
I think that's so cool. I think we're going to get a lot of that. And I think Matt Zuckery
we
is such a
have
good
to.
actor. He's going to be able to, he's going to be able to play off of the baby. And there's going to be a
Mhm.
level of improv. You know, they can always yell cut, but there's going to be some times where they're just going to have to accommodate,
Yeah.
you know, the baby saying or doing something that wasn't meant to be in that scene. And I think it's going to be so cool to see him do that, like he did in that scene, you know,
Yeah.
just play off the
Yeah.
baby and make it part of the show.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's going to be fun to watch.
And for all us moms, there's nothing more attractive than a guy slinging a diaper bag over his shoulder holding a baby. Like, the sexiest picture I can think of my husband is of my daughter she's sitting on the coffee table, he's on the couch, she's got a little tiny foot on his knee and he's painting her nails. Like, oh, this is why I
That
love
is
you right
so
here.
sweet. They have to do that with Conrad and Gigi. They have to redeem the nail polish story. They
gosh, I
have to
would love that.
redeem it.
Oh,
He's
As if he
gonna
needs to
paint
get any
her
better.
nails. He has to paint her nails the same
Aw.
shade of pink. Oh. I will say though, I wish they had, as I was saying earlier, done a little bit more transition between coming down off of, you know, the episode of what was going on with Nick. I mean, obviously it's been a couple of weeks. The characters don't have the luxury of, you know, staying in that moment and mourning.
Mhm.
But the viewers, for us, it would have been nice to had a little bit more of maybe a closure, just like something to transition from Nick's death to the rest of the world. Like even the title of the episode was Now What? You know,
Yeah.
so we need that transition to get to whatever what is. And that would have been a little bit cooler. I think they jumped into like, I mean, obviously all the storylines we just talked about, it would have been nice to have a little bit of space in between before we started hitting things that were so intense that had a lot of emotion. It would have been nice to just to give us that, to take a beat, you know, before we jumped into something so big, you know, find maybe if it is just a mundane at the hospital, find a way to do that. Like maybe it could have been and maybe I'll do this in the future, but like maybe a staff memorial for Nick. You know, we could have had like the flashbacks.
I think the scattering the ashes that we talked about last week is probably something that they'll spend an episode on.
I think so. I think all that's
been 2
coming.
weeks. They had the funeral already.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the funeral already, but maybe like scattering the ashes or a memorial or her birthday where they're even when Billy was packing her locker, like that was so raw and hard. Like it was like so unceremonious, you know, and I get it. And you know, it's hard. She's probably trying to get it done as soon as she could, but you know, they're talking about Conrad and it just seemed so, I mean, I think they could have even had a little bit more, maybe she did it in private, you know, have like a really, really pretty sad song playing, you know, let her have that emotion of it's, hey, we're unpacking her locker, she's not here anymore, you know, that's what represents that she's no longer at the hospital. I think we could have seen, you know, so much more. I think that would have been a lot better. And still, I mean, doesn't have to be the whole episode. They could have still added different storylines with the patients and the doctors, but like you're throwing Huntsberger at us. Like give us a chance to breathe before you do something that deep. So I think it was a little jarring. It didn't really flow. I think it could have been a little bit more coherent. But they could be that they're trying to have time for other storylines. Like I know the Halloween episode is next week, so it looks like they might even like reflect back on Nick a little bit too, according to the trailer. So maybe they
see that trailer yet.
Oh, okay. Unless I'm imagining things, it looked like they showed like a flashback of Nick. Yeah, unless I missed it. Maybe I didn't.
I don't know. It almost implies like there's gonna be like a ghost because we're talking about ghost and stuff. So
right,
know,
yeah.
Like, well, it's a Halloween episode, and
it's a Halloween.
Don't do that. Don't jump off.
The Halloween episodes they've had in the past are like they're kind of goofy and off the wall.
Well, they're comedic. So, that's what I was thinking. I don't think they're actually gonna. I mean, obviously, they're not gonna have like Ghost Nick, obviously.
No, but I don't think so. But
I don't think it's. Yeah, I don't think it'll be disrespectful towards her. I think they were trying to like pretend that that's where they were going in the commercial, which we know they're not. I think they were going for more of the dramatic. And what I'm thinking they might do is mix the comedic with the sentiment. So like, here it is, time has passed. It's the Halloween episode. Yet, look, here's the first Halloween that Gigi's gonna have without her mom, you know, and so that's gonna be a little bit
sad too.
No, but I think they're gonna use the fun Halloween comedic aspect that they normally use to kind of like bring it. Hey, you know what? We're sad, we're sentimental, but we can still smile. Life is still gonna go on. So I don't know where they're gonna go with it. They're usually comedic. We do know that Dr. Nolan is gonna have a dandy performance, is what we hear. So. I don't know. I'm hoping that Gigi in the chicken costume is actually what is going to be taking place.
Yeah.
For this Halloween episode. So that might be kind of fun.
I can't wait to see her in that little chicken costume.
It's going to be so cute. Yeah.
I'm glad we got, I hope we continue to see more of her. I really like her. I like how she's helping Conrad, and I think that she's going to be kind of his compass.
Yes.
Well, guys, I think we hit on everything in this episode that we could possibly hit on. We could have gone more in depth, but we like sleep and we like life as well. So we're going to stop here. Let us know if there's anything you think that we dropped off or that we didn't discuss. And do you think we're wrong on anything, specifically the other three? Do you think the other three are wrong about anything? And what is your take on the Billy Trevor situation or the Kit Leela situation? We want to hear what you think. We want to hear your opinions too, not just ours. We know that we get wordy. So we want to hear what you think. Let us know. You can reach us in our email at familyfanclub2021@gmail.com. You can join us in our resident group, which is the Resident Chastain Family Fan Club on Facebook, where we have our discussion questions posted from this week's episode, and we have other things that are scheduled throughout the week. Join us there, join the discussion there. And you can find us on Twitter under Family Fan Clubs, right? That's what it is on Twitter. And then Instagram and TikTok are FB Family Fan Clubs.
Yes.
But if you search FB Family Fan Clubs on any of our social media, we'll be pulled up. So find us there. We have some fun videos on our TikTok. We try to post more on our Instagram and Twitter. Sometimes we fail because we're mothers and we're not all Conrad Hawkins. So sometimes we screw up. So we want to hear from you. Next week we are talking, or Wednesday actually, we are talking Grey's Anatomy And next Sunday, we are talking episode 5 of The Resident. So join us for those. We'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.